Okay, my theory on why my car got broken into on Saturday in the broad daylight between 11 and 6. I set up the game cam, or you could call it a trail cam. Those things are not easy to find, but I was able to buy one in Chandler for $30. It was on sale. They had a whole end cap full of them. One was fine. I didn't know much about them. But I want another one. I should have bought two now in hindsight, but I didn't know. I never played with them. I believe setting that up next to the facing out this passenger side window. All right, so I anticipated somebody coming by and looking in my car window. I had the front window covered, the back windows, the back passenger window side are covered, and lo and behold, somebody comes by and looks in the car window. This is my theory. They saw that their picture was being taken. I know I'm not exactly sure. The red light doesn't always come on. This is not a great camera. $30 does not get you top of the line, but it looks like it's a nice camera, a nice trail cam. The red light might have flashed a little bit. It does that sometimes, but not all the time when I was playing with it. But the person may have thought that they were getting their picture taken while looking in the car window and got angry and irritated with that, and then decided to break in. But that's my theory. It's possible they just intended to break in and they just happened to take the game cam. But I kind of believe that the game cam, the trail cam, may have triggered them a little bit more than they would have. Maybe they would have just looked in the car and then kept going. I'm not sure. There's a lot of people out there who do not like their images taken. All right, I've come across that when I was in Phoenix, walking around the library after my bicycle was stolen. I was just walking and recording, and I had this black guy cover his face far away, like good 50 feet away. As I was trying to make it look like I was not recording, just holding this iPod kind of like this down around my waist, and he was covering his face and looking away and looking at me. He knew I was recording, and that type of thing happened in California, Salinas, California, when I was in Chinatown, or that homeless district. Some big, tall black guy, 6'4" or so. He looked at me, he looked at his phone, then he looked back at me, and he's like, "Are you recording?" And I just kept walking. I was scared. And then he started getting his thug buddies. They started saying, "Hey, are you recording? What you recording for?" And then when I finally got towards the end, I had this black guy bicycling toward me at a fast pace, saying, "What you recording for? What you recording for?" Or something like that. What you videotaping for on my iPod? What you videotaping for? It was a scary moment. I kept walking and moving in the linear direction out of that area, and I only got them to tug. They only tugged on my arm a couple of times. That was it. It's all recorded. Just it doesn't show up because I kept the video camera straight. But there's people out there who absolutely hate getting their images taken, and I think, and I'll just say, when I was in San Francisco, I saw a black person looking in car windows. I didn't have my Sony at the time. I could only whip out the iPod and point it at them and make comments about it. They were just going down car by car, looking in the windows. And I would have loved, if I had my Sony, I would have zoomed in on that and had a good image of that. That was alarming. Even the people I was across the street from that action. There were people on the same side of the street who actually paused and watched this black person looking in the car, each and every car window. It was in one of the nice areas. I know exactly. I forget, Mission District maybe. That's a nasty one. But people don't like getting their images taken, and they'll call you out on that all the time. Yeah, it takes a lot of desensitization to get used to it. People are kind of used to security cams, but when it's somebody holding a cam, but mine's a bomb. Mine's pretty much like it's set by itself. It's motion activated, and I mean this is a theory. I think they got irritated by that. Now, why did they break in through the top? And now you can see I got tissue up there. I caulked the top. I might be breathing in fumes. I rolled up all the windows to make the my voice sound better, echo off the windows, and not have the background noise. But I think they came in through the top. Maybe they have experience with it, but maybe they have a lot of confidence in their strength. Okay, a weak person may not have considered ripping this thing off because the back was up. I had it partly open, so you just get your fingers in there and just rip. And I don't know how much force that would take. That would be interesting to know. How much strength does it take? It wasn't enough to break the glass, but this is fairly thick glass. But they ripped it up, ripped it out, several break points there, and then they probably set it off to the side. Did they check? See, that's the thing. My theory is that they got irritated at the game cam, but my theory after that is pretty sketchy, because I questioned, could they have checked all the doors to see if they were locked or unlocked, like the driver's side door? Why didn't they smash the driver's side door? I know why. I'm pretty sure I know why they didn't smash the passenger side door, because you smashed this window, and what access do you don't have any access. You could grab the game cam, but they weren't solely after the game cam. So that's the thing. Maybe they weren't that irritated by the game cam, but they did take it. That was one of the things they took. They took the most obvious things within view of the front dashboard and to the side. They didn't take anything out of these drawers. I had a couple cameras in there. They just kind of took what was immediate and then ran off. I think they probably grabbed my computer bag, which I sewed myself a few years ago, and now I don't have any protection for my computer. And I think they probably threw everything in that bag and ran. But they didn't. They could have smashed this. This is the most popular, one of the most popular windows to smash, the side window. I'm pretty sure they didn't smash the driver's side window because they would leave a lot of glass on the road, which would be very alarming to people driving by. But they probably didn't smash. This is the most in San Francisco. You see what's the most common, because it happens every day, several times a day. They'll smash the towards the sidewalk. I've seen graffiti. I've seen a car covered in graffiti. All right, but they tend to do more graffiti on the side of away from the road. The thieves tend to do more of their work on the side away from the road. Where was that? That was somewhere like in Redwood, California. There's a van or a big truck, like delivery truck, entirely covered in graffiti. Not entirely, but all around there were elements of graffiti, but the most graffiti was on away from the roadside. So your most vulnerable point to these thieves, they're trying to hide behind the car away from any traffic that could drive by, is away from the road. But yeah, they didn't. So I'm thinking they probably ripped this. I don't want to push too hard. I might move it. They probably ripped this thing from the passenger side. They reached over. I was wondering if I didn't really look for prints. They would not have stood on the hood and ripped it because you could use both hands if you stood on the hood and then reached over with both hands, digging your knees into the windshield and then ripping this thing off. I think they used one hand. I think this was a very athletic person who used one hand and just ripped quick and hard. And there's probably a lot of anger in them because of their faces being recorded, and then they hopped in, and they were not a large person. We're talking about a small, very strong person, somebody who's very confident in their athleticism to get over in through this hole and put their goat head covered shoes down on my driver's seat, and probably crouch down, reach around, grab some things, throw them in my computer bag, and then probably exited out the driver's side door. I suspect, it's like in hindsight, it kind of felt like the lock was loose. Like maybe when I went straight to unlock my door, and it did feel like it was kind of loose. That was a little. I think I recall that, but my memory isn't always perfect. I think I recall it being loose. I can kind of tell when the car door is locked. Sometimes I'll walk away with the door being unlocked, and you could feel there's nothing to catch as I'm turning the key. And I don't recall anything catching when I turned that key. I think it probably was unlocked. I think the thief came in through the window and exited out the driver's side door and not locked it. And then I think they came from that area that they escaped to as well, but it's hard to say. Their feet were just covered in those goat heads, but the goat heads were very numerous anyway. You could really pick up a lot just on a short 5-foot walk. You could cover the entire bottom of your shoes in goat head around that field. But I think they threw this thing. There are scratches on it, and they're not they can't be driving scratches. I think this person probably just chucked it. And that, I mean, I don't know. I just can't explain how it would have goat heads all around the edge on the rubber seal that's supposed to seal from the rain. There's goat heads. There were goat heads all around it, like it rolled, or it skidded on the ground and spun and stuff. I mean, it just doesn't happen when you lightly lay this sunroof on the ground. I don't think they lightly laid the sunroof on the ground. They didn't. They were being very violent with everything. And now I noticed this back door. When I lock all the doors, when I drive, everything automatically locks. I'm hearing 3 clicking sounds out of this rear door. So I think something happened there. That's concerning. I never heard that. That's the first I've heard it. Usually it takes some sudden issue for it to go. It could be just the timing of it all. It just started on its own. But I think it might be related to the car break-in. So they come in and take it. What do they have to profit from it? This area is a Route 66 area. It's the west side of Albuquerque. I'm in a part of Albuquerque I actually feel much safer in. There's not trash around. There's neighborhood organizations with signs in these neighborhoods. I walked around a little bit. Could the neighborhood organization make a big difference? I'll say where I walked around, there were there were 3 cop cars parked within a 5-block radius. Like these cops drive their cop cars home, like their personal vehicles, and park them in their front lawns. And I found 3 of those within a 5-block radius. That's the first I've seen it. And then the signs for neighborhood watch, crime prevention, and all of that. I have to wonder how much of a difference do these neighborhood crime watch organizations make? I think that might be a big factor. All right, there's probably not a single one around the west side. If there is, it'd probably be very much smaller groups. That could be a difference. I'm just trying to figure out why I just didn't get clued in soon enough. Why I felt more comfortable parking around that area, especially that one spot. If I would have been less comfortable, I would have gone over to the Albertsons and parked in that parking lot all day, and then bicycled to the library. Instead, I was like, I'll just leave my car here all day. It feels isolated. I didn't see, when I sat in my car for a few hours, I hardly saw anybody walk by, even cars drive by. It was a nice isolated spot that seemed like very visible. You could see that spot from I think a good mile away at least. There was just no tree cover, nothing a person could hide behind. This is all broad daylight. You could see all around. It's just very visible from all over, but nobody really paid attention to that spot. And it is a bad spot. And I think maybe it's because of the hippie draw about it. A lot of what do they call them? It's just people who travel and all of that. Transients go in and out of that area, go through that area, maybe on a kind of Route 66 type of adventure, and many of them can be also using a lot of criminal habits to try to keep their journey going. And in some ways they don't know any other way to generate money. I've been on some seemingly friendly parts of the Route 66, like San Bernardino. That's towards the end of the Route 66. Yeah, it kind of looked bad, but I don't know. Some parts of the Route 66 are better than others. And the Albuquerque part of Route 66 is pretty bad. There's also the El Camino Real, which is supposed to be a popular historic traveling route too. And they're like the roads share. They're on the same road around that area. But that area drew a lot of drug addicts. I just assume maybe these drug addicts kept to themselves more. And they're all spread out. That's the thing. There's a lot of sprawl with the poor-looking people around there. There seemed to have been a lot of sprawl. Like they spread out a lot more. They weren't congregated like 20 in one spot like you see in San Francisco, or just lined up on the sidewalk and watching them shoot each other's with heroin and stuff. And look like they're really drugged out. It didn't look that bad. They were more spread out, but it's still. I think the criminals lower their standards around here because they don't see a Lexus in every parking lot like you see in San Francisco. I think my car was passed over in San Francisco because there were more other rich cars, rich people. That they could go for that would have more valuables than a Ford Focus. But around here the standard's lower for criminality, and they're more likely to steal from poorer people, I'm guessing. So that's some theories just talking about with this issue. I've gotten a new GPS right away. I got one new battery right away. And I'm caulking the top here. I need liquid nails. I don't think I got the caulk that are called liquid nails, so I don't know how well this is gonna hold up. But I guess I can always caulk it again. It's been an unfortunate incident at the time. I didn't know what to do. If I wouldn't have found this roof, I would still be freaking out and panicking. That rain that happened 2 nights ago, it was really bad. That was a lot of rain. None of it got inside, luckily. But I don't know what I would have done, because I would have drawn attention had I put any kind of I got magnets. If I would have put any kind of plastic right over that to stop the rain from getting in, and then I got magnets that would hold it and stuff. But then I would have, every so often I would have had to, like in a tent, push up to release the water that pools towards the center. That would have sucked. I'm glad I found this glass thing. I'm glad they didn't take it too far. And I had to look. It was hidden behind like a little bush. I could not see this glass thing from my car. I had to actually walk in to this no trespassing area that's privately owned by a no name. Who knows who it is? And then find it. to get this person's, like, I was thinking maybe if I would have looked closer, I could have, like, figured out their foot size, I'm sure, but I didn't look that closely for that stuff.